Hi everybody, it's me, Sigal again. I thought since we're learning all about Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year, it's important that you meet another friend of mine. His name is Sammy, and he is a spider. This is Sammy Spider. Can everyone say hi, Sammy? Hi, Sammy. We're going to read a story about his first Rosh Hashanah. Would you like to read with me? It's called Sammy Spider's First Rosh Hashanah. Let's read it together. Sammy will sit over here for now. Sammy Spider dangled from a silky strand of webbing near the big picture window in the Shapiro's living room. "Look, Mother," he said, pointing with one leg. "Here comes the mail carrier with more cards for the Shapiros. Why has she been delivering so many cards this week? Did anyone get cards for Rosh Hashanah?" Mrs. Spider looked lovingly at Sammy. "Soon the Shapiros will celebrate Rosh Hashanah," she replied. "Those cards are from family and friends who are wishing them a Shana Tova, a Happy New Year. Can you say Shana Tova?" Good job. "Will we get cards too?" Sammy asked hopefully. "Silly little Sammy," answered Mrs. Spider. "Spiders don't celebrate Rosh Hashanah. Spiders spin webs." Which reminds me, our web is getting a little crowded. When you were born, we lived in a small web. Now our web is medium-sized. But you grew so much over the summer that we need to spin a large one. Sammy wasn't paying attention. He was hanging above the shelf, watching Mr. Shapiro display the new cards. They were all different sizes. Some were large, some were middle-sized, and some were small. "Aren't they beautiful, Mother?" Sammy sighed. But before Mrs. Spider could answer, Sammy scurried across the ceiling into the Shapiro's kitchen. Mrs. Shapiro and Josh were kneading dough and shaping it into circles. "What are they doing now?" he called to his mother. "They're making round challahs for Rosh Hashanah," she answered. "Mrs. Shapiro is making a large challah, a large challah for the family, a middle-sized challah for the neighbors, and Josh is making a small challah for himself." "Do you like challah?" "I love challah." "Can we make challah too?" Sammy asked. "Silly little Sammy," laughed his mother. "Spiders don't need dough. Spiders spin webs." The next morning, Sammy woke to a chopping sound in the kitchen. Mr. Shapiro was slicing apples. Big red ones, middle-sized yellow ones, and small green ones. Nearby, Josh was filling 3 bowls with honey. There was a large bowl for Mr. Shapiro, a middle-sized bowl for Mrs. Shapiro, and a small bowl for himself. Mrs. Spider came over to Sammy. "Rosh Hashanah begins tonight," she explained. "At dinner, the Shapiros will dip apples into honey for a sweet new year." "Can we dip apples too?" asked Sammy. "Silly little Sammy," replied Mrs. Spider. "Spiders don't dip apples. Spiders spin webs." Do you like dipping apples in honey? I sure do. The next morning, everyone got dressed up to go to the synagogue. Mr. Shapiro put on his big gray coat. Mrs. Shapiro wore her middle-sized red coat, and Josh put on his small blue jacket. "I can't wait for the rabbi to blow the shofar," Josh exclaimed as they left the house. "Josh and his family are going to services," Mrs. Spider whispered to Sammy. "The rabbi will blow the shofar to welcome the new year." "Can we go too?" asked Sammy. "Silly little Sammy," answered Mrs. Spider, shaking her head. "Spiders don't go to synagogue. Spiders spin webs. Come help me spin our new larger web." Instead, Sammy swung down to the kitchen counter and crawled towards the bowl of apples. In his excitement, he stepped in a drop of spilled honey. All of a sudden, he couldn't move. His 8 little legs were stuck. He struggled to free himself. Help, Mother, he cried. The honey won't let go of me. Mrs. Spider lowered herself on a strand of webbing and tried to pull Sammy free. She pulled and pulled until she had to catch her breath. Sammy began to cry. As he bent his face to wipe away the tears, a drop of honey got into his mouth. It tasted sweet. Sammy took a little swallow, then a middle-sized swallow, and soon he was taking great big swallows of honey. Before he knew it, he wasn't stuck anymore. Mrs. Spider scooped Sammy up and held him close. He still felt a little sticky. See, Mother, he said, spiders can have a sweet new year. All you have to do is dip me in honey. Mrs. Spider hugged Sammy closer. The Shapiros can celebrate a sweet new year, she laughed. But I'm just happy to have a sweet you near. The end. Bye, everybody. Shana Tova. Happy New Year.